Hello my loves and welcome back to Studio Slowly Luna. If you haven't been here before, my name is Ashlyn. I am the founder of Studio Slowly Luna, the online and body movement studio, and today I'm bringing you a video that's been highly requested, and it's something that I see a lot of my students struggle with so much when they start dancing heels and burlesque. And it's the thing that for myself has been the hardest adjustment into dancing in a heel, which is balancing in our heels. And if you can't balance in your heels, then you can't walk in your heels, and then you cannot dance in your heels. So the balance key is so important when it comes to how your dancing looks and how confident you feel on the dance floor. And before we get into this video, I wanted to let you babes know that we only have 2 more days left of enrollment for my program, Confidence, on the day that this video goes up. And so if you have wanted to take your dancing to the next level, to learn how to dance heels and burlesque in a way that makes you feel confident, empowered, and really taking on 2022 as your highest self, then make sure to click the link below in the description and apply it for my program before all the spots fill up and the doors close on Sunday. If you do miss enrollment, no worries. Make sure to just follow along on my Instagram at AshlynTori or at Studio Slowly Luna to learn when spots open up every 3 months. All right, my loves, let's get into this tutorial. So why is balance even important in heels? Why do we need to be balanced? Well, first of all, we need to be balanced in order to protect our bodies, okay? So we don't want to be falling, we don't want to be tripping and rolling the ankle. We really want to be strong and stable on our feet. And then in turn, this makes us feel and look more confident in our choreography, okay? So when you're balanced, you're not worrying so much about falling off your feet, and you can focus on the movements, you can focus on the choreography and really expressing yourself in the dancing. But you can't do that if you're worried about staying on your feet, right? So the first thing to think about when we are talking about balance is actually the type of heels that you wear. So I always recommend my students start with a shorter, thicker heel and work your way up to a stiletto. I actually have a video all about what type of heels to wear, so I will link that for you. But you want something that's got a strong base. If you've never danced in heels before, it's gonna feel so weird moving around in your heels, and you're gonna kind of feel like a little baby deer, right? So we wanna make sure that the heel isn't working against us, it's working for us, okay? It took me 2 years to work my way up to a stiletto, okay? So it takes a while to build your balance, so don't force yourself to get into a 4-inch stiletto when you've never really even walked in a heel before, okay? So you want something with an open toe, you want something with a thick, solid heel, almost like a little booty. You want to make sure that it covers your ankle and it covers the top of your foot, okay, for protection purposes. But like I said, I'll link that video for you. But the heel is key. So if your heel is too skinny, if it's too tall for you, no matter what you do with your core and your legs and everything else, you're gonna feel off balance. So your heel is number 1. Now, after you have the right heel and you feel really confident in the heel that you're wearing, let's talk about our posture, okay? So posture in heels is actually pretty specific. So I'm gonna do this to the side for you. You can kind of see what I'm doing. So this is my normal posture, how I just normally stand, okay? Now, if I'm dancing in a heel, it's a little bit different. I'm going to roll my shoulders back. I'm going to then extend my chest forward, and my booty is gonna kind of pop out a little bit. Yes, so this is like my sexy heels posture, okay? So again, we have our normal posture, and then we have our heels posture. So we roll our shoulders back, our chin is slightly lifted, our chest is pulled forward, and then we have this natural curve in the spine, okay? You wanna make sure you're not overextending the spine, so you don't want to arch your spine more than it naturally does when you pull your shoulders forward, okay? And this is the big part, the key to balance is our core. So even though everything's long and extended, my back is slightly arched, my core is really engaged. This posture is going to help me move through all of my moves in heels, okay? So you wanna make sure that even though you're extended, your core is engaged all the way down to the pelvis. Not just here where you think your abs should be, it goes all the way down. And when your core is engaged, you have a really strong and stable body. Now, there's one more piece to this that a lot of people don't think about when it comes to dancing in heels, and that is our legs. Your legs are just as important as your core. So if your legs and your thighs are not engaged, then you're not gonna be stable on your feet, no matter how engaged your core is. And that's because our legs are the biggest part of our body. So if we're not engaging them, if they're just kind of like loosey-goosey, then we're not gonna be balanced. So I want to do just a couple little exercises with you so you can feel the difference. So bring your legs together in a bevel, and what a bevel is, it means my heels are together, my toes are apart, and I've got one knee crossed in front of the other. Yes, this is our bevel, okay? So you've got your heels posture, your bevel, your core is engaged all the way down to the bottom of your pelvis, and you're really looking fine AF. Okay, so we're here. Now, if I take a step forward into a slow and sexy walk, which is one of our walks in heels, if I take a step forward and I come through my bevel, because when we walk, we come through our bevel every single time. If I take a step forward and I come through my bevel, the more that I squeeze my thighs together here, the more balanced I'm gonna feel. But if I just kind of slightly let my thighs touch, if my legs aren't really engaged at all, it's gonna be easier to fall forward. So, taking a step forward, cross. Now I come through my bevel, bevel, bevel. My legs are super engaged, cross. Come through my bevel, 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 cross. My thighs are squeezing so tight, almost like they have a little $100 bill in between them, and I'm trying to keep that bill in between my thighs. Okay, so your thighs being engaged is so good for your balance. So that's in our walks. Now, if we're doing like a hair whip, so let's say we're doing a classic heels hair whip, I'm sinking into my right thigh, and I would hair whip, right? How am I staying stable? How am I not falling over? It has to do with this booty cheek. It has to do with this thigh. So my glutes and my thighs are so important. I'm using all of my weight into this left side, and I'm still keeping it here. Even though I'm taking my weight down, I have not changed the amount of weight that's sitting into that hip. Actually, I'm pushing more weight there so that I don't fall over. Hair whip up. Yes. So if I wasn't using my thighs there, I would just topple, yeah, off of my feet. So it's the same principle that our legs and our thighs are engaged in our hair whips. If we drop it down and then we slap it up, my thighs have to be so engaged when I come up, as well as my core, or else it's gonna be hard to bring my body weight up, okay? So your core and your thighs are so important. So practice that in your walks, practice that in your hair whips. Anytime you take the body down, squeeze the thighs, engage the core, and make sure your posture is still really strong and sexy. So my third and final tip for you is to ground. And if you didn't know this, I'm a yoga teacher, so I love referring to things like we're rooting through the earth and we're grounding, because it gives us this visualization of what our body needs to be doing. So if I use terminology like this, yes, I mean, you could call me a little bit of a hippie, I definitely am, but I love those visualizations that yoga uses. It really gives us practical ways to see what our body needs to be doing. So when we are grounding through our feet, so we've got our posture, we've got our core engaged, we've got the right heels on, we've got our legs engaged, but the feet are just as important, okay? So go ahead and come to your bevel with me. I'm gonna hold my pants up so you can kind of see my feet here. So when I'm in my bevel, what I'm doing is I'm using my whole body to root down through the earth. So I'm very strong into my lower body right now, and I have a lot of pressure in my big toe. So if I'm in my bevel, my big toe is like really grounded and rooted. It's like it has tree trunks going through the earth, okay? That way I'm not going anywhere. Yes, because a tree, when the wind blows, it does not move, right? So when we whip our hair or when we do whatever, we want to visualize ourselves as this strong tree. So if I take a step forward, once again in our walk, and I'm coming through my bevel again, I'm really using this toe to press into the earth, and cross. And this is something that we call tracking in Latin ballroom. As most of you know, I was a Latin ballroom dancer, and this really helps me to visualize it. And it's like you're tracking the foot in and across. It's like you're on two little train tracks, cross. And my toe is pressing until I put my whole foot on the ground. Pressing, foot on the ground. Yes, so you're really grounded through your entire foot as you walk, Yes. So everything that we just talked about, the engagement that you need, has to go all the way through your feet. All the way through your feet, all the way through your feet. And that toe that you're tracking through it, the more that you engage it, the more that you visually see that trunk going to the earth, the more you're gonna feel really strong and balanced. If your toe is just sliding across, skimming across the top, you're gonna like slide with it, okay? So you want it really engaged. Another way to see and feel this grounding experience that I'm talking about for our balance is noticing where your weight is. So is your weight too far forward on your toes? Then you're probably gonna fall forward. Is your weight too far back and you're gonna topple backwards? So this is, again, if we do a hair whip, like especially if we do just a drop and then we whip it up. If our weight is too far forward in our toes, we're gonna fall forward. If our weight is too far back when we come up, then we're gonna go backwards, right? So making sure that you know that your weight is in the center of your feet and you're grounding all the way down through both parts of your feet, your toes and your heel. So right on the ball of the foot, drop it, and then you bring it up. Boom. You're not gonna go anywhere because all of that energy is completely connected, okay? Same thing if we did a hair whip, just standing with our feet a little bit wider than hip width, and we take the head down and bring it up. If I'm too far forward in my toes, even just a little bit, I'm gonna topple, right? So we wanna make sure that in this hair whip, both my feet have equal weight. I take the hair down, I bring it up, I'm pressing into my heels, I'm pressing into my thighs, and I come back up. Yes, so knowing where your weight is super important. Not too far forward, not too far back on the heels, but right in the center. Amazing job, my loves. So those are my balance and technique tips for you today. I hope this helps you to learn how to feel more strong in your heels, because the more stable, the more balanced you are in your heels, the more confident you're going to feel, okay? So just a little recap. We have the heels that we wear are super, super important. We have really engaging our core, our legs, thighs, glutes to make sure we have a really strong base. And then we have grounding, so knowing where your weight is placed, knowing how to be right in the center of your feet and to root down through the earth, to use those toes on your walks, okay? Those tips are game changers, and the more that you practice them, the more comfortable you're going to feel in your heels. If you enjoyed this class, don't forget to give it a like below and subscribe to this channel. That way that you never miss a video from Studio Solar Luna. And also don't forget that enrollment for CHM closes in just 2 days if you're watching this video when it goes live. So to learn more, just click the link in the description below, and I would love to chat with you more about this magical program. It's truly changing women's lives, and it's so amazing to be part of it, and I would love to share it with you. I love you, babes, to the moon and back, and I will see you in the next video.